guys, and welcome back to DCP Princess Tales. I'm Mitchell,
I'm Chrishele.
and today we're going to talk about living in DCP housing. So first thing I guess we'll talk about is roommates. Roommates can be fun and exhausting all at the same time.
Bit of a backstory on the experience. A lot of people think that when you go to the program that you should get in these groups and choose your roommates and you find them and you should get to know them, all kinds of things. And to me, it doesn't matter. Whether you choose them, whether you don't choose them, a bad experience is bound to happen or could happen. So just don't get your hopes up in thinking that since you went through this process of finding them beforehand that everything's supposed to be perfect and magical, because it's not what happened.
Anything can happen. I mean, you can have roommates that you'll love and didn't know before the program started. You can have roommates who you knew before the program and you went to the same college and you don't have the same experience. Don't let that, let your experience be tranced by them. What's next?
Maintenance in your apartments.
We can talk about repairs. I've never had an issue with it because I've always had things taken care of, like my carpets being cleaned by housing, and we had a wasp nest outside of our unit and it got taken care of easily and quickly within the hour. I know everyone's not as lucky as I am when it comes to housing maintenance.
So guys, I'm gonna let you in on a little detail. So basically my first time around, before I extended, I was in like the perfect apartment. Nothing was wrong with it, nothing happened, anything we needed, it was done, it was taken care of. So just a tidbit on anyone who's watching out there, when you extend, whenever you extend your program and you're there, you're liable to get moved out of your apartment if there's not 50% occupancy.
75.
Somewhere around
that
number. But it basically has to be a good bit of you left in your apartment for you guys to stay in your apartment, or else you will get moved anywhere. So only 2 of us extended from my first program, and it was a 8-person 4-bed. And I ended up getting moved I was still in Chatham, but I moved into another complex full of an established home already. And right when I walked through the door, literally, all I saw was this huge, I'm not gonna curse, this huge compact thing. Like, it was like literally half the living room space blowing air. So we had no air. We stayed on maintenance probably the entire leg of the summer extension, and my air was never fixed. They never came. They never did anything. All they did was actually put another unit in there close to the doorway so that air would be circulating from both ways.
And like, I know where some people from like up north, like summer isn't that big of a thing. But summer in Florida, where it's not as unbearable as it is here, I would say in Louisiana, but summer in Florida is hot and muggy, so it does hurt you a little bit that you don't have any AC.
It gets very humid. My second housing was another 8-person 4-bedroom, and it doesn't seem like it's a lot.
That's a lot of bodies.
But it's a lot of bodies, y'all. Like, that's a lot of bodies. Like, you're probably never in the house with your roommates all at the same time unless you guys like actually get together and schedule it that way. But when you are and there's no air and there's a little machine making your air for you, 8 people is a lot. It's a lot. We almost ended up like getting moved out for like a couple of days because it was just unbearable at one point.
And moving on, we could talk about laundry. So I lived in my 2 programs and 2 extensions. I lived in Patterson, and then for my last program, I got moved to the Commons. So for a majority of my programs,
I want Lucky to like appear across my head. Like, as soon as you say Commons, Lucky.
I lived in the Commons for my second part of the program, and I had a washer and dryer luckily in my unit, which was amazing. You pay a little bit more for it, but when I said that was the best thing that could have happened for me, because I didn't have to go back and forth from a laundry room and worrying that someone was going to take my clothes out of a washer or dryer, put them on the floor or put them on top of the machine because they got there a minute before I did.
I didn't have the same luxuries as Princess Mitchell here, but in Chatham, we don't have AC units and things like that. Oh, no, not AC units. We don't have laundry I guess, machines.
You have laundry rooms.
We have a laundry room, but we don't have washers and dryers in our apartment. But luckily, my first program, I lived, like, Chatham has kind of like townhouse setup. So right when I came out the door, the laundry room was like right next to us. But second time around, whenever I got extended, I was a little bit further away, but it was still like convenient. But there's always a fear. People will take your clothes out of the dryer, take your clothes out of the washer, they'll move it, they'll leave your clothes sitting there, they'll probably even rummage through your clothes. And it's crazy to think that you would think that people wouldn't do that. We're all grown, that we won't go through each other's things, but people can be sneaky.
It's the same at, like, any, I guess, laundromat situation that people are like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to take their stuff out because they're not here. So on that, just, like, have respect for other people. Things happen. I can't get to the lunchroom in enough time. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry I'm making noodles. I can't just...
I guess we could talk about buses, which, okay, so since we've been there, which is a great topic to talk about, is that things change in the Disney College program semester by semester. It's never the same. So what I can say is that the bus system has changed recently. From what we don't...
system. We don't even know what it is.
Yeah, we don't know what it is yet. I've talked to some people who still live there who I know of who take the buses. But when we were there, it was Transtar. So Transtar... Transtar was, we both used it. It was a bus system that got you from point A to point B. The only issues that you could say sometimes was...
buses catching on fire.
Not even buses catching on fire, because I never was on a bus that caught fire. Did
either,
I know some that caught on fire?
But
yes. Yeah. But there were times where the bus was late and you were late to work because of an incident that happened on the bus, so they were late picking you up. And whereas that's, you don't get a point for that at work because it is the bus's fault and not your own personal fault.
Yeah, as long as your job knows, like, something's wrong with the bus, you'll be fine. Like, usually beforehand they know, like, so, but, like, right when you get there, they'll be like, oh yeah, we know your bus was so such and such, like, you're fine. But if your bus is ever late, people, please don't take it into your own hands and then order an Uber, because if your Uber is late, you still get that point, because if you just waited for the bus system, your job will know about it. Unfortunately, one time I was just impatient and I got an Uber, and then when I realized it wasn't even that it was the bus's fault. It was literally that there was just such bad traffic that everything was backed up. So basically me putting myself in that Uber cost me, like, everything. Well, not everything. I didn't really get in trouble, but I got in trouble.
So moving on from the bus system, which is a great way to get around if you don't have a car. Even if you do have a car, you don't feel like wasting gas, or you just want to kind of, go to the park and maybe have a drink and don't want to drive. It's a great way to get back home. Moving on, I guess we could say to parking at Disney College program. You do have to pay to park at Disney College program.
Yes.
Whereas we both didn't bring a car
the first time.
Days.
Yeah.
There's parking everywhere. It may not be right in front of your door at your housing complex, but there's parking.
And 9 times out of 10, you end up not really caring where you park because you're just happy to get a spot. Now, I know my roommates, majority of my roommates all had cars, and each single time, I would say I don't know how it was in Commons, but for Chatham, it wasn't too bad with parking. Like, most of the time, you really did park right outside your house. Like, there was parking available. Now, I can say for some apartments, like Vista, their parking system, it seemed like they were really just parking, like, on the curbside rather than, like, parking in front of their house. Patterson had pretty decent parking. There was a lot of space. And then Commons was kind of like the same thing to me. I noticed there was a lot of, like, cars just being parked curbside instead of, like, right in front of your house. But it's not bad.
It's not bad. Parking could... really, you're not parking on the street. You're parking inside the complex still. You probably will still be able to see your car from your window of your apartment.
Now, your visitors, the only, I would say, annoying thing is, I guess, if you do make friends outside of the program, they have cars, they feel bad, they want to bring you home, things like that. 9 times out of 10, sometimes, just to avoid a hassle, you'll probably end up not asking them to drop you off in front of your door because there's a sign-in system. and you have to sign in your guests. Like, it's a whole big process. You got to get out of the car. They have to give them their license. You have to sign paperwork, all kinds of stuff, like basically telling them that you're responsible for this person just dropping you off. Which also takes it into the consideration of the next topic I want to talk about all the time is guests.
Oh, yeah.
Guests.
Guests, I mean, you can have, guests can only be there at a certain time. But that even goes for like people going from complex to complex. You can only be there for certain times and not the entire stay. You do have to check your guest in. It's safety rules, to be honest. There have been plenty of rules that you have at college, as you can't have people in your dorm room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the same rules. You have to respect them because you are living with
Other
college
people.
age people. And this is Disney keeping safety for everybody who works there.
And it's not necessarily, like, bad, because, like, they could be worse with the curfew times. Like, if you don't live in the program and you're a guest, you have until midnight?
Midnight,
Yeah.
yeah.
You have, like, until, like, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And then if you just don't live in that complex, but you live in another complex, you have until, like, 2, 3-ish. And usually the security is not too uptight about it because they know you're probably, like, trying to get your guests out of there. But, it's not too bad. It's just overall, you don't want to have to do that over and over.
You don't want housing coming to your house and saying, "Hey, somebody signed into your apartment. We still see their car here. They gotta go."
No, I mean, you know, I'm gonna leave that out this video. I'm not gonna talk about that in this video.
And I guess we can go on. Well, you know, the only people who can bring you food and housing is Domino's.
Domino's, yeah.
They're the only people who can come to your door and give you food. Everyone else has to wait at the gate of a complex to get food in.
Hashtag, I always will have the best Uber Eats guy. I don't know if he's ever gonna see this, but his name was Oscar. He was amazing. He basically ended up giving me, like, most of my Uber trips. Shout out to him because he saved a starving girl many of times. Because
some nights it's hard to go get food or cook food, and all you want is McDonald's and you don't have a car. So Uber Eats, McDonald's, hey, great.
What else is there? Florida traffic, people. It's not necessarily the actual Floridians. And usually around the complex, traffic is not bad. It's very fast, free moving. It's very dangerous. They've had people to actually pass away in the program because of how dangerous people drive. But it's more so be very conscious about when you're going to work and what time you're going to work. Now, if you usually have like a morning shift, like super early in the morning, you'll be fine. There's not really much traffic. And 9 times out of 10, you end up Ubering to work that early because you don't want to have to call for a special bus to come pick you up and then have you there an hour early from work. And then closing actually isn't bad. Like when you're leaving, it's actually not bad. The only shifts I would say to be careful for is when you're like a mid shift, because that's when traffic's picking up, because that's when people are getting to the parks, leaving the parks, going home for naps, things like that.
It becomes very dangerous traffic wise. Because I've seen, you know, as you ride the bus, you're able to look out the windows and see like what's going around the city as you go to work. And you see that like there are so many accidents that happen. And they're not like horrible ones, but there are accidents that, you know, could change anything, change your day. Traffic.
Oh, wait it.
Then I would say housing. I don't know. Housing's great. I mean, it could be a lot worse, to be honest. Whereas people say like, oh, housing's so bad, I left housing. Like, you see all these videos so many times. And I'm like, it's not.
You know, actually, despite, like I told you guys in like my last video, like my first time around, housing ended up having to get involved between like me and my roommates. Well, not necessarily me, but like our house in general. But I guess if it weren't for housing, the con is that we all ended up basically being comfortable in our living situations, because out of our 8-person, 3 moved out. One girl, she went home like way early on in the process, so we always had like an empty bed. But out of that 3, and then like 1 came in, and then she ended up leaving with the other 3. Like, I don't know, but we all ended up basically where we wanted to be in the end.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it could be a lot worse. They're really there just to keep you safe and keep everyone safe.
To keep everyone happy, because you end up being in a space, like, for me, I never had a problem with any of my roommates, I want to say. My first time around, it was more so, like, housemate stuff than my actual physical roommate. Like, me and my physical roommate from my first program are still best friends to this day. Like, we literally talk to each other, like, every other day. Shout out to Leanne. But, like, my second time around, I didn't even know my roommate's name. Like, I literally didn't know her name. But I knew most of my housemates' names, and my housemates were, like, amazing. Like, we went out all the time, but me and my physical roommate didn't hang out. So it was, like, a switch to me, like, from each program to program.
I know everyone's name I live with, but that's just me. Everyone's name.
Mitchell, we did not see. Literally, she was a lifeguard, so her shifts were completely, totally opposite from mine. Like, the only time I saw her, the only time I, like, would even see her is when she was coming home, and she would wake me up every single time she came home. Because I would be asleep. She would just flip the light on. But, you know, I didn't really know. What was her name? I don't know. I don't remember her name.
Well, at that, we're going to end this video. And we're just going to remind you about our pen giveaway.
Yes, the pen giveaway.
We gave our first pen away already. And hopefully we'll post their picture on our Instagram soon. So make sure to like this video, comment, and go like a picture on our Instagram. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming to our what? TED Talk. That's actually very lame, but thank you for tuning in. We love you guys, and we hope to see you more. And
very soon, in 25 days. 25 days will be in Disney.
25 days, guys. I can't wait to show you guys the beautiful place that we will get to live in for a year.
Bye, guys.
Bye.